MS Ramaya University of Applied Sciences.
Hi students, title of the experiment is Assay of Ammonium Chloride. Aim of the experiment is to find out the percentage purity of the given ammonium chloride sample by formal titration method. Chemicals required are ammonium chloride, formaldehyde, sodium hydroxide, potassium hydrogen phthalate, distilled water, and phenolphthalein. Apparatus required are burette, pipette, volumetric flask, beaker, funnel, burette stand, analytical balance, butter paper, and spatula. Principle involved. Assay of ammonium chloride is based on acid-base titration and the method involved is alkalimetry. It is also called as formal titration and is indirect titration method. Ammonium chloride, being a salt of a strong acid and weak base, can be estimated by treating with neutralized formaldehyde, which gives an equivalent amount of hexamine salt and hydrochloric acid. The liberated hydrochloric acid is then estimated by titrating with a strong alkali such as sodium hydroxide using phenolphthalein as indicator. When all hydrochloric acid has reacted with sodium hydroxide, an excess drop of alkali alters the pH and makes the solution permanent pale pink in color. The end point is appearance of permanent pale pink color. Formaldehyde solution may contain a small amount of formic acid which is formed due to atmospheric oxidation. This should be carefully neutralized with sodium hydroxide using phenolphthalein as indicator. Sodium hydroxide used as titrant in this assay should be standardized as it is a secondary standard using potassium hydrogen phthalate as a primary standard and phenolphthalein as indicator. Experimental procedure. Weigh accurately 0.1 gram of ammonium chloride into a dry conical flask. Dissolve in 20 ml of water. Add a mixture of 5 ml of formaldehyde previously neutralized to dilute phenolphthalein solution and add 20 ml of water. After 2 minutes, titrate slowly with 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide using few drops of phenolphthalein as indicator. 1 ml of 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide is equivalent to 0.005349 grams of ammonium chloride. The results obtained are tabulated. Normality of the titrant sodium hydroxide is calculated using the formula N2 is equal to V1N1 by V2, where N1 is normality of potassium hydrogen phthalate, V1 is volume of potassium hydrogen phthalate, N2 is normality of sodium hydroxide, and V2 is volume of sodium hydroxide consumed. The percentage purity of given ammonium chloride sample is calculated using the formula IP factor into titer value into actual normality of titrant divided by weight of the sample taken into expected normality of titrant into 100. Finally, normality of the given sodium hydroxide solution and the percentage purity of the given sample of ammonium chloride are reported. Hi students, the name of the experiment is assay of ammonium chloride. The aim of the experiment is to determine the percentage purity of the given sample of ammonium chloride by acid-base titration. The assay is based on acid-base titration and the method involved is alkalimetry. The chemicals required for the experiment are ammonium chloride is a sample to be assayed. 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide is a titrant used. Formaldehyde solution is used to fix ammonia as hexamine. Phenolphthalein indicator. Phenolphthalein is an acid-base indicator used in the titration. And distilled water. Distilled water is used to prepare the sample solution. The components required for the experiment are butter paper, spatula, 250 ml conical flask, 50 ml beaker, funnel, 25 ml measuring cylinder, burette stand, burette and weighing balance. Let us start the experiment. All the apparatus used in the experiment should be thoroughly cleaned with water. The burette, it should be rinsed with the titrant used, that is 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide solution, before we proceed to the titration. Add few ml of the titrant to rinse the burette. Discard the solution. After rinsing the burette, fill the burette with 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide solution, which is the titrant used. Fill the burette up to the mark. For the colorless solution, always see the lower meniscus. After filling the burette, clamp the burette vertically in the burette stand. First, we have to prepare the sample solution. So, weigh about 0.1 gram of ammonium chloride. Place the butter paper on the pan, make it to 0. After weighing 0.1 gram of ammonium chloride, transfer it to a dry conical flask. And dissolve this in 20 ml of distilled water. Add 20 ml of distilled water to the conical flask and dissolve the ammonium chloride sample. After dissolving ammonium chloride in 20 ml of distilled water, in another conical flask, take a mixture of 5 ml of neutralized formaldehyde solution and 20 ml of distilled water. formaldehyde solution used must be neutralized before it is added because it may contain some amount of formic acid which might be formed due to atmospheric oxidation. So take 5 ml of formaldehyde solution, add few drops of phenolphthalein indicator and neutralize with 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide solution. Transfer 5 ml of formaldehyde solution to the conical flask. Add 2 drops of phenolphthalein indicator and neutralize with sodium hydroxide solution. Appearance of pale pink color indicates that formaldehyde solution is completely neutralized with sodium hydroxide solution using phenolphthalein as indicator. Measure 20 ml of distilled water. And transfer this to the conical flask. Now, this mixture of 5 ml of neutralized formaldehyde and 20 ml of distilled water is now transferred to the conical flask which has ammonium chloride solution. Now this conical flask contains 0.1 gram of ammonium chloride dissolved in 20 ml distilled water. To this, a mixture of 5 ml of neutralized formaldehyde solution and 20 ml distilled water was added. To this, now add few drops of phenolphthalein indicator. And carry out the titration with 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide solution. Before you start the titration, note down the initial burette reading because few ml of sodium hydroxide was used to neutralize formaldehyde solution. So note down the initial reading, initial burette reading, and then start the titration. The end point is appearance of pale permanent pink color. Initially the solution was colorless and now it has changed to pale permanent pink color. This is the end point of the titration. Note down the final burette reading. The difference between the final and the initial burette reading gives a tighter value. Repeat the titration in the same way till the concordant readings are obtained. This is a procedure to carry out the assay of ammonium chloride.
At MSR UAS, we spark your imagination unlike any other.